Hello YouTube and welcome to our latest war recap video. This was we're up against SNT Elite and props to them for the win. We struggled a little bit with their bases and learned a couple of things along the way, so that was it's always good to take something positive out of a war that you don't come out on top. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting war. They did a good job on our bases. Only 1 star on major, but 2-starred all of our Town Hall 10s fairly in kind of 1 or 2 attacks, and 3-starred absolutely everything else all the way down to all the Town Hall 9s cleared. They did a really nice job on our Town Hall 9s and cleared most of our bases in 2 attacks or so. And we did well up top. Just one of their Town Hall 10s slipped through for 1 star, but we 2-starred everything else. And we struggled a bit with their Town Hall 9s, left quite a few stars on the board there. And that was kind of the ultimate difference in the war, really. Including their base number 20, just to prop out to Doc Daffy for his base design. We hit that base 7 times and still didn't quite get the 3-star, so props to him. We did learn quite a bit from their base design, and we've taken a few of those designs on board, so that was a positive thing. And none of their bases were standard layouts, and it was probably the first war in quite a while that we'd hit a clan with a whole bunch of, like, every base was a new design that we hadn't seen before, and it kind of showed up how maybe how we've been running a little bit on autopilot, because you see the same base over and over and it's like, yeah, I know how to hit this, you're coming from here. So it was probably a little bit good for us to kind of shake things up a bit and get us switching on the old grey matter again in terms of analysing bases. Let's check out our 3-star attacks, and kicking it off with Jason coming in on their number 6. Kind of interesting base design here with that little compartment at the top with a big gap where there's already half of the funnel built for you, and the Queen in a compartment that's pretty heavily defended. But Jason just comes in with 3 golems here. He's got dropped from earthquakes down in the core of a base, and gets to CC lure with his golems. He's got a bunch of wizards, a couple of Peckers, and then is nice and late on his heroes, which is good. Stops the CC troops targeting his king or queen. Heal spell while he deals with the CC troops. A couple of back end hogs there just to try and take out one or two of those defenses. But there is, again, nice design. There's a couple of skeleton traps, and they do tend to wear down a little bit on his hogs, but he still gets everything done there. He's got a nice group of wizards being tanked by a golem. Lovely use. I love the use of the hogs on the right hand side here, because that's one of the compartments that he hasn't got access to with his earthquake spell. So he's obviously, Jason's got a great plan for how he take out that compartment. He catches a double giant bomb set. It's a bit unlucky, but really nice planning in terms of choosing to bring the hogs, and also where he chose to deploy them. So it's always good to have a plan for the compartments that you can't reach, either with your jump spells or with the earthquakes if you're going on that path. And something else that Jason did here, which I really liked, was his placement of the jump spell, which was in the core of the base. I see a lot of attacks where people use 4 earthquake spells to open up an outer wall, and for me that's not such a good use for 4 spell slots. You could get away with a jump spell and get your troops into the base, but actually you're probably better off with wall breakers and saving your earthquake spell for the core. It just opens up more of the base, where kind of earthquakes are used on the outer wall. The first half of the raid still goes okay. It's what happens is at the back end of the base, in the second half of the raid, you tend to run out of troops a little bit, because you just haven't got that extra heal spell, because you've used up 4 spell slots on the earthquakes just to get you into the front half of the base, and then you've got all the walls in the back of the base. It just doesn't give you access to enough of the base. Is my take. So I'd encourage people to be thinking a little bit more in terms of how you get further into the base. If you're going to take 4 earthquakes, because it's a large portion of your spell slots, you want to be opening up a big chunk of the base. A little bit of a dash back up to the Lonely Builder's hut in the corner, and lovely 3-star from Jason. Very nice indeed. Okay, up next we've got Prodigy coming in on number 8, and yeah, so another example of one of these really weird base designs. There's a big open space And that's exactly how Prodigy approached this, going, okay, so this is a base with 3 groups of compartments, let's just take them one at a time. So he starts with the one on the left hand side, opens up the wall nicely, drops in a nice bunch of Valkyries. They run straight to his king, and Valks are great for taking out heroes. They're attracted to them far more so than defenders or anything else. Does catch the double giant bomb there, and there's a dragon, but he's dropped a heal spell, which kept, and a heal spell and a jump spell, which has opened his Valks up to huge numbers of different compartments. So they're another heal spell with a rage, and that just pushes his Valks through. They catch yet another giant bomb. They catch a double bomb set, but they've done it in a nice split manner. And so he's now got 2 groups of forces. There's quite a large chunk of Valkyries down the bottom, and meanwhile there's his king, his heroes, and a few wizards running around at the top. That works quite well. He chooses to heal up his Valks, which I think is probably a good move. There's just far more hit points there than there would be if he'd healed up his hero forces, and heroes don't heal up well under spells or with healers anyway. So I think heal spells like healers only work at half effectiveness on heroes. So always a better choice to heal your troops rather than your heroes if you can. The Valks do rush a little bit ahead and get taken out by those forces whilst they're trying to beat through the wall. There's quite a lot of high damage units there, but Prodigy's being very patient here. He's got 6 hogs and a bunch of wall breakers up his sleeve, and he's waited until the rest of his forces have got in close enough that there's a bit of distraction happening. The enemy Archqueen does target his hogs and they go down, but that gives his king time to finish beating through the wall, run into the core, and he's got plenty of health left on his king. That level 24 king can take quite a beating. The wizards are helping out. The queen finally breaks through the wall, and she's coming to help out now as well. And there's just a few buildings left. We all know what's going to happen here. It's just a lovely methodical attack by Prodigy, getting the 3. Okay, let's move along, and we've got Prodigy again, back-to-back attacks. Another one of these unusual bases with kind of a central moat section. Yeah. Brings in a couple of golems. I'd like to see it drops his golems and then opens up the wall. Generally, prefer drop your golems, drop your wizards, and then open up the wall. But because you can see one of his golems is already split into 2, and the wizards aren't anywhere near the defenses that the golem's tanking for. So that's kind of the golem's just been soaking up damage for no benefit for him. But doesn't affect his raid here. He's got nice heal spell for his Valkyries in the core there whilst they're dealing with the CC troops. The CC troops are probably one of the most dangerous things for Valkyries. It's always a good idea to keep them under heal whilst you're taking out the CC troops. Got a nicely placed jump spell to keep his Valkyries running through the base, a heal spell just to keep them healthy. There's a few wizards at the top taking out those high hit point storages, which is always nice. His queen's taking out one of the expos, which is great. She is kind of undefended. There's nothing tanking for her, and she's going to get in range of the archer tower that will probably take her out because her ability's already been used. But no matter, there's enough damage done from her taking out the expo already, and the rest of his forces here. It's got enough left to get the job done. He's slowly working his way through. Again, he's kept 5 hogs and a heal spell up his sleeve. I always like to see that because it gives you options to respond to what's happening in the raid. If you drop all of your forces down in the first 30 seconds, then you're a spectator at that point. There isn't a lot that you can do to influence the outcome of the raid. And if your troops path in a different direction to how you expected, or the Teslas pop up in a different location, or something like that, you've got no way of responding. You just sat watching and hoping things work out. Whereas if you keep just a few troops, doesn't have to be a lot, but just a few, 4 or 5 hogs, a couple of wizards, it gives you an opportunity to respond to what's happening. And Prodigy uses those to great effect here. So he's taken out 2 defenses with 4 hogs, and those are defenses that his troops would have to beat through one of those lava walls, which is it's going to take a long time to take out and they've been inflicting a lot of damage. So love the use of those hogs and great patience on deploying them as well. Very nice raid. Okay, yours truly, Uncle, coming in on number 10. Another one of these moat bases, and I always, when I see a moat, I always think queen walk, because it's an easy path for your queen, and look at how much of the base you'd be able to reach by running through that core section there. So just drop the queen down with 4 healers just to keep it up and healthy. Did think she might struggle a little bit with this expo, so dropped in, just sprinkled in a few hogs, but again, nicely placed skeleton trap and lovely placed spring trap. Kind of, I mean, the hogs don't quite get the expo, but meanwhile we're coming in with a golem and a few wall breakers, making a funnel with some wizards, and dropping the Valkyries in through this core section here. So the idea here was the queen was basically responsible for the top left half of the base, and the Valkyrie is responsible for the bottom left half of the base. There is a dragon in the CC, so I drop a raid spell just to make the Valkyries move faster and make it harder for the dragon to target the Valks. But then they've now split into 2 groups. There's one smaller group with the king, and the main group is down the bottom here. Choose to heal the group up with the king because there aren't many defenses left down the bottom, whereas there are still a few defenses left up top. But I can kind of already see here that I think all the defenses are taken out, and the rest of it's just clean up. So we will just keep working our way along. There's a little bit of cleanup left to do. All these high hit point buildings. Oh, and a troll. I hadn't spotted the troll Tesla in the corner, which the golem ends up taking out. So there we go. Moving right along. Mighty Banger coming in on number 14 and doing it with the Valk. So he's dropped in a couple of golems, nice line of wizards, few wall breakers. Does get a wall breaker fail because they unfortunately just ran straight into the wizard tower, but no matter, his funnel is wide enough that the Valkyries are going to burn their way through that wall anyway, so that's not a problem for him. They then proceed to burn their way through the next wall, a nice heal spell and raid spell whilst they're in the vicinity of the CC troops, and his Archer Queen is going to do a nice job of taking out the dragon, so that worked out very well for him. His Valks do run straight across a double giant bomb, which he spotted and dropped a heal spell for his Valks, which is always a good thing. Just keeping those Valks nice and healthy. He's got 2 groups of Valks. They're working their way through the 2 main compartments where the threats are. He's got his Archer Queen running through the core. She's well protected by that golem, and the next thing you know, there's just nothing left in the base. It's done. And that's it. The Archer Queen takes out the one remaining defense, and it's game over. So lovely, really clean attack there from Mighty Banger, and even has a poison spell up his sleeve for these skeleton traps. Just lovely attack. Okay, Faye coming in on their number 18. And again, interesting to compare the different spell compositions here. So we've got 2 jump, 2 heals on this one, and nice corner entry into the base. Lovely early placement of the heal spell, really like that. That just helps keeps the Valkyries pushing through the base by giving them a path to move forward. They all run in, get attracted by the king, take him down. Nice heal spell for them to keep them up and healthy. Second jump spell, and nice choice of placement on the jump spell. Saw where the Valkyries had passed and chose to drop it in a location that opened up several compartments to them, which is always a good thing on the second half of a raid. As nice deployment on his hogs just to take out that wizard tower in a compartment that the Valkyries hadn't pathed to, and whilst the rest of his catches a spring trap with his hogs, but they've been protected by his hero and a couple of Valkyries there, they do catch another spring trap, which is a bit unlucky. So nice placement on their spring traps. But no matter, he's got his king and his queen. His queen hasn't used his queen's ability yet. He's got a bunch of Valkyries on the left-hand side that a Lava Hound is chasing, but that Lava Hound hasn't popped, and it's not going to do any damage at all to those Valkyries. In some, whenever you see Valkyrie in the CC, you want to take as few wizards as you can get away with, and if you can, keep your Arch Queen away from the Lava Hound. You can see the phase ended the raid, and the Lava Hound on had more than half of its health left, so that's nice and safe for him. Love the attack. Okay, up next we've got Geek coming in on their number 19 with a Govar, a Pentalaloon. So a hole in the base, which is, I don't know whether that's deliberate on their part or not, but makes for an easy CC lure. So we'll just fast forward through this bit because we've seen this before. Just brings it down to the bottom of the base, drops a poison spell, drops his Archer Queen, chooses to use his Archer Queen for this because the only thing he really needs her to do is take out the CC. So he's coming in with a couple of hounds and some balloons. You can see there another hole in the base which he exploits to get a balloon right onto that first air defense nice and quickly. He's dropped a second hound on the second group, and again takes great advantage of that hole in the base to drop some balloons right on top of 3 Teslas, so that was a nice easy takedown. And the rest of the balloons and Valks, balloons and hounds, bit Valk crazy at the moment, are working their way onto that last air defense whilst the balloons kind of following behind. He has lost a few of his balloons to the Archer Queen in her location, but the whole idea of this raid was to take out the rest of the base and worry about the compartment with the Archer Queen in last, because it wasn't near any of the air defences. Drops a poison spell just to slow the damage down from her a little bit, and he's still got 1 hound up, which is what the Queen is shooting, which I think is probably what saved the raid for him, because the Queen does a great job of taking out balloons, but she's going to struggle a bit to take out this hound because of the health it has. Meanwhile, the balloons are working their way through the rest of the buildings. There are no defences left. He's got his king and his queen up. Does get the hound to pop right at the end, which is great. And then the balloons come over and drop bombs on the head of the defending Archer Queen, and the next thing you know, there's just a little bit of cleanup. So nice to see something that wasn't involved in battles, just for a little bit of variety, and nice to see the 3-star, and that's with level 1 hounds. But then there were the level their defences. Alright, coming in next we've got Eva, bringing it with the double Zap Quake. And with the hound, we've got a hound as well. I would like to see a hound with dragon attacks. It's just fun. Okay, so Eva comes in with, he's got building a funnel. Nice use of just a couple of archers here, just to help build the funnel. Very patient on these early dragons, let them do their job, which is what we like to see. It's building a funnel. It's an important part of successful attack, so it's worth just letting your troops do that job before you commence your main attack. Here we've got the dragon down, we've got the hound coming in. Might have suggested maybe dropping the hound a little earlier, because it would have done 2 things. It would have distracted the air defense from one of the dragons, but it would have also lured the CC, so the CC dragon would have locked on to the hound rather than the dragons, and that can just keep your dragons up that little bit longer. But doesn't matter, the dragons have got the job done very nicely, because Eva did such a good job funneling her dragons. She's got max balloons in the CC working their way through, gets a nice pop on Lava Hound just at towards the second half of the raid, and that just gives her even more cleanup troops, and that can be a nice thing, because dragons can be, they can, slow is the wrong word, but they're kind of not the raciest of creatures. And what I mean by they're not slow is that the attack doesn't necessarily take a particularly great length of time, because there's never any cleanup. They just run from one side of the base to the other, unlike, say, a hog attack where you take out the defences, then you've got to run around a second time taking out all the other buildings. But it never has a burst of activity. It's just a gradual progression through, and the pups can just help with that. So lovely attack, Eva. A very nice cleanup attack. And now we've got Lord Jack, who this might be his debut on the channel. So welcome, Lord Jack. Bringing it with the Go-Va-Ho. Okay. Comes in with 4 earthquakes, just to open up the core of the base a little bit. Comes in with 2 golems and a group of wizards, just helping build his funnel here. Gets a CC lure with the golem. Drops a heal spell for his golems here, which has worked out for him, but it's kind of one of the jobs of the golems is to tank damage, so I'd be less worried about healing them, and maybe more worried about keeping your Valks alive. But no matter, works out for him here. His Valkyries have attracted the attention of the enemy Barbarian King, and then they promptly take care of him. He's got hogs coming in on the right hand side. They do run over over a single giant bomb, and he responds nicely by dropping a heal spell for them. His Valks are still running amok through the base. He's got a big group of hogs all together there. His Valkyries do a lovely job of tripping the double giant bomb. That just guarantees that his hogs are going to be safe for the rest of the attack. It's really the only, given the number of hogs that he has, it's the only thing that was going to cause his hog grief. His hogs are just working their way through the last couple of defences here. Those Teslas are packing a little bit of a punch for him, so these hogs do end up going down here. But he's got 4 or 5 Valkyries still left. They decide it's faster to break through the wall and to run around the wall, and a couple of swings of their axe, and the last couple of defences are done, and then it's just clean up. And we'll fast forward a little bit here because there's a little bit of work for them to do. But he's got his king up and a couple of barbarians on one side. He's got 3 Valkyries on the other side. There's a few walls for them to break through, but it's not going to pose too much of a problem. These are relatively low level walls, and there's quite a few Valks and other things there. And gets the 3-star. Nicely done, Lord Jack. And our next attack is also Lord Jack, so back to back debut. Kind of interesting base design. Again, comes in with Quake and 2 golems. Spreads his wizards out, just making the funnel very patiently. Drops his Valkyries in once he realizes the outer buildings are going to go down. They work their way in through the outer buildings. Nice heal placement here because his Valkyries have run ahead of the golem, so what he's actually doing here is healing his Valkyries and king. The dragon has locked onto his barbarian king, which is a bit unlucky. That does lead to his king going down, but no matter, he's brought in a bunch of hogs on the left hand side while his Valkyries are working their way through the core. Nice split on his hogs, just means one group does catch a double giant bomb there, but he's got a heal spell for them. So the bulk of his hogs have run into the heal and got themselves back to full health, and they're just working their way through the rest of the defences here, whilst the defences are distracted with the 2 golems. A little bit low on troops, and he's got both of his golems up and alive, so possibly could have brought 1 less golem and a few more troops, maybe another 6 hogs, but no matter, he's got the job done. All the defences are now down. He's got a wizard on the cleanup, and he's got 4 or 5 hogs, and is also nice use of his wall breakers there, just try and help his wizards and golems out, and it does actually help them quite a lot. Helps his and golems, they don't do a great amount of damage, but it's not zero. Does, and every little bit helps when it comes to cleanup. But he's got an absolute ton of hogs left over, more than enough to get the job done several times over. So that's not going to be a problem at all. He's even got one Valkyrie left and a few wizards, so very nice attack indeed. Loads of troops left. Look at those 2 golems. Very nice attack. And welcome to the clan. Alrighty, moving right along, we've got Zimmer coming in on their number 24. So he's dropped a hog to get the CC lure, and it's a dragon and a balloon. Lures them over to the corner with a couple of barbs. Drops a poison down. Uses a few barbarians to keep the troops in the poison spell, and the poison does eventually wear off. It's got rid of the dragon, which is the goal here. So he's dropped his golem down. He now knows that his troops, his Valkyries, are going to be safe from the CC troops. If you can get the lure cheaply, it's always a good idea with Valkyries to take care of the CC before you drop your Valks. It just means you don't have to worry about balloon drops on your Valks or anything like that. It's one less thing to have to worry about. So he's had a little bit of a split on his Valks here, but on a Town Hall 8 that isn't a bad thing, because there just aren't that many compartments. It just means that the Valkyries are going to take out the base that much quicker. So he's got one group of Valks in the core, another group of Valks at the top, and to the right, and then he's coming at the top with some hogs. A heal spell in the center there, just keeping his Valkyries. Drops another heal spell when he sees a giant bomb, which helps his hog keep alive, and also heals up keeps his Valkyries nice and healthy. And there isn't that much left on this base for the amount of troops that he's got. I think he's still got all of his Valkyries. He's got most of his hogs, and his hogs are just doing a lovely job of working their way through these defenses while they're distracted with the golem. Catches another giant bomb with one hog, which is quite always nice to see when you get a cheap tripping of a giant bomb. And his hogs have just taken out the last defense, and then the rest of it is just clean up. So lovely attack by Zimmer. And we'll just watch as he hasn't used his king's ability, but he hasn't needed it. And the next thing you know, it's 3. Very nice attack indeed. Okay. And we've got Raj coming in on their bottom base, which was a Town Hall 7. Get an easy CC lure and drags the dragon over to the corner. Nice timing or choice of time for the lightning spells. Not that time is an issue in this raid at all, but whilst you're waiting for the CC troops, you might, if you're going to drop an earthquake spell, it's always a good time to do that, so that just gives you a little bit more time. So he's got a poison spell for the dragon to slow the damage down, and a group of wizards. Like to see the wizards, sorry, try again, not wizards, they're archers. Like to see the archers in a semicircle or a circle around the dragon. Just makes it harder for the dragon to take out a group of wizards, because they do wizards still, a group of archers, because dragons do splash damage, but he gets the job done. Drops 2 dragons down just to form his funnel, and then the bulk of his force in through the center here. Nice rage spell just to push his dragons and CC max balloons in through those first few buildings and onto the 2 remaining air defenses as quickly as possible. That's always a key at Town Hall 7, because you don't have access to double Zapquake yet, so there's always going to be 2 air defenses left. So getting to those remaining 2 air defenses as quickly as possible is going to be key to keeping your dragons healthy. He's just worked his way through that base, and just cruise mode at this point is just completely overpowered it. This is kind of a bit of a Town Hall 8 bullying a Town Hall 7. And we'll just fast forward as the rest of Rage's dragons work their way through those few remaining buildings, but there's no real threat there, and very nicely done. So yeah, good war, some good attacks from us, a couple that we struggle with. So let's have a look at how we did. So major 97%. It's just so close on their number 1, and that kind of formed the basis of a 3-star in our next war, which we'll cover shortly. But yeah, I mean, Jason 98 and 100%, so almost 6-star war. Prodigy with a 6-star war, congrats. And then not too many this war, because we did struggle a bit with their bases. But Lord Jack, a new addition with a 6-star debut, which is always nice to see, and a couple of scouts at the bottom. So good war, guys. I think we learned a lot from this one. It's never fun to lose, but I think in some ways, warring against this clan, we probably got a little bit stronger than some of the other wars against farming clans, and it's always better to be in a tougher war, because that's where you learn. So hope you enjoyed the recap. Heads up and clash on.